Are you looking for a nice restaurant to wine and dine? Perhaps a space where you can get your work done? Or a wine room where you can indulge your palate? Aroma by Orchard has all these things together. Come along and let me show you what they have. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching or listening to us from. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Talent Plug podcast, a space where we unravel stories behind extraordinary talents from every corner of the marketplace. I'm your host, Francis Mulumba. On this episode, we're excited to have a very interesting guest. His name is Chef Temwa. He has been in the culinary industry for years and years now. So best believe we're speaking with an expert who's going to drop quite a number of gems about this sector. So Chef Temwa, we're really privileged to have you on this podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to read a short summary of Chef Temwa, just so that you can begin to have an appreciation of what he has done throughout the course of his career, and probably will help us build into this conversation that we're going to have. So, like I said, we're speaking with Chef Temwa Temba. He's a professional chef with extensive experience in the culinary industry. He has served as the head chef for Doran's Holdings, overseeing 4 restaurants. That's Orchard Farm, Aroma by Orchard, Elevate Sports Bar, as well as Pakona Beer Garden. He has multiple roles that have really focused on the development of the industry itself. And in his previous experiences, he's also worked at the Hard Rock Hotel Maldives and held positions such as the head chef and owner of CU29 Culinary, something that I believe he's going to speak into more as the episode goes on. He has also served as chef at Unilever Food Solutions SA, and rose at Grand Hyatt Doha and Saxon Hotel Villas and Spa. I really hope I've been able to really address the background that you have, and I say it's quite extensive.
I think you've hit it straight on the point, straight on the nail.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. So, Chef Temwa, really a privilege to have you on the show. Like I said, we're having a discussion prior to this episode, and we pretty much talked about, what has inspired me to take on such a venture and why I'm having such a guest coming on the show. Yeah. And for me, look, the answer is very simple. We look at individuals who have made an impact in the areas that they serve. And when I did a bit of research about what you've done, I was just like, whoa, he does just seem to hit all the notes I'm looking at for a professional in such a sector. So, firstly, congratulations for the illustrious career that you've had.
Thank you.
It's not very easy to dedicate time to a space such as this one, and I think you've done it with a distinction.
Thank you very much, Francis, really.
So, to begin this discussion, obviously I have just given a snippet of who Chef Temwa is, but obviously would like to hear it from you in terms of just a brief introduction of who you are and what kind of journey you've had right until this point.
Oh, a good journey, like how life is, ups and downs, but you count your highs and you look at your lows to better them and learn from them.
Right.
And you still continue to learn. Learning is a process. It's an everyday thing. And within this culinary industry, from where I started, funny enough, I was looking at it the other day when someone was asking me for advice, and the advice I had given him, it's like I had gone through it.
Right.
And I was saying to them, I also started as a scholar.
Right.
Cleaning dishes and the whole shebang. It wasn't by choice. It was just coming out of culinary school.
Right.
And there I was thinking, I get into the kitchen, like in the movies, as mentioned, you know, and I'm gonna get into some pots and cooking and cutting. And the first position they gave me was for you to understand the kitchen. And actually, one of the most important places is the pots, the cleaning area.
Absolutely.
Being scullery. And I was like, I never went to school for all
Yeah,
this.
I'm not gonna start from here.
I'm going to start washing plates.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it gave me more knowledge and respect for the kitchen, the running of the kitchen.
Right.
And I as well tell my staff, respect that person. It goes back in saying, my late father said to me, from nowhere, Temwa, what do you think the most important person is in the company? And I was thinking, I'm at a good age to answer this. This is easy.
Right.
It's like the CEO, the MD.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's very easy for people to think that, eh?
It's not. It's not that person, actually.
Right.
It's the person who brings the tea.
Wow.
That's the most important person.
Right.
When the MD CEO is there having a bad day, he needs a coffee, and that person is not there, what do you think is going to happen? It's not a thing of running out, let's go quickly to Starbucks, or let's go to Mug and Bean quickly.
Right.
No. Reel it back in.
Right.
Let's look at the levels. Yes, they could be the lowest,
Right.
but most important person. And for that, I actually put that back into the whole culinary, the whole kitchen aspect, the hospitality. You need to respect people. And with that, it comes with responsibilities. In a nutshell, so part and parcel of growing up. So that's a bit of a background of growth into this. What inspired me?
Right.
I think that's where it's leading to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Francis, what inspired me? I come from a family of 5 boys.
Okay.
Or rather said 5 men, as we are today. Mother and father, and both deceased. And like any other, you'd say my mother's cooking.
Right.
Like the Italian mama's pasta. It stemmed from there. We're always given chores, and one of the things she said to us in Pardon growing up was, each one of you will do the same different chores on how to run a house.
Right.
I'm not bringing you up to a standard of, no, I can do this. No.
Okay.
So cleaning, I think maybe some cleaning of the house.
Right.
Washing your laundry, cooking, gardening.
You needed to be part of the
It's
entire,
a rotation.
Yeah.
It was a rotation.
Right.
And then within that rotation, it was then put out to be like, I found my spot.
Yeah.
The kitchen. And she was as anyone would say,
Right.
the best cook.
Amazing.
My mother had dishes which I'm still using today. And yes, a tweak here and there. I think if she would be here today, she'd be saying, okay, young man, maybe you tried.
Yeah.
But reel it back in.
Yeah, the few areas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And within that, my first dish actually that I could actually master and get to perfection because I loved it.
Yeah.
Was custard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight on custard. Got burnt many times. Used tools to come.
Yeah,
climb.
yeah.
Cooking started at an age of literally 8.
Wow.
And then it just continued. I had this thing of wanting to learn food,
Yeah.
Baking, checking what's happening in the kitchen.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than the smell of fresh bread being made in the house.
Right.
Or like nice cookies on a nice cold Sunday or a coldish day. And
I
you're
hear
thinking,
you. I hear you. Yeah.
yeah, so stemmed from there and then finished high school and wanted to study something different. Now there was a bit of a scare.
Okay.
My older brother, my second oldest brother,
Okay.
yeah, so he went into culinary school, hospitality. And yeah, he went to study that in the UK and in Germany and came back and detour, went into the motor industry. Detour again.
Like right after he came back?
Yeah, came back. No, he worked in the hospitality sector and yeah, he had a bit of a detour again. And had another detour out of the motor industry and found himself in the banking world.
Oh, wow.
Did work very well for himself, which I think my father can say, okay, as much as you went for this,
Yeah.
you've done well for yourself.
Right.
There I am now coming, hey, Dad.
Inspired by him? Or was this just like your own path?
I wanted to even go into public relations.
Okay.
Did that for a bit and then I was like, okay, so how do we do this? And I found my father in the study and I was like, Dad, trying to get his attention.
Right.
And I want to go into cooking school.
Right.
I remember how he was holding the newspaper and he just
literally dropped
folded
it
down and looked at me. He's like almost saying,
What?
you can't be serious.
Yeah.
I've gone through this before. But
we're not gonna do this again.
I was okay, how do I now inspire him? How do I get into this? Because I'm not gonna let it go.
Absolutely.
And I'm one person who doesn't give up. I don't give up. I continue to fight, and rather not fight, but to try and get to the end of it.
Right.
If something is not right in that dish, it does not mean that I failed.
Right.
Walk away, try another. No. Let's go back to it.
Where did we go wrong? What can we do to
improve it?
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes you added this, but it's not supposed to be added. And in the end, you add something totally different and you're like, that's the one.
Right.
So now that goes back to creativity.
Yes.
So before I divert off that, my father says, I don't know. And I just started whipping out dishes at home, taking out some dishes.
Right.
Cooking every other night. And one day it's like, those papers you wanted to show me about where you want to go and study. Let's have a look at them. I was like,
it's light.
It's working. It's working. We're getting somewhere. And before I knew it, I went to study culinary school at International Hotel School, South Africa.
Nice.
That's based in Morningside. Now they've moved, for all I know. But yeah, I had my 3-year course there, and I was then working and doing my practicals in different areas, and the highlight was at Hyatt Hotel in South Africa, Rosebank. And from there, I was pumping it.
Right.
I loved it. You know, when you love it, you dream it.
Absolutely.
It just got onto me. And my father would ask every other evening, you left here at 4:30.
Yeah.
You're back at 10. And you're a student. What kind of work are you doing? Like even myself.
Like I don't do that.
Right? And I was thinking, well, I never told him. Eventually I did, because it was shown.
Right.
The executive chef would come in and you'd ask the other chefs, how come he's still here? I saw him in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm about to leave and he's still here. He's a student, let him go. He's like, no, he's volunteered. Wow. It happened over. And sometimes the executive chef, he was from Kazakhstan. Bit of broken English.
Yeah.
But he comes and he goes, you come work with me today. And we're doing technical things and I'm watching every item.
Every single move.
You know, you've got like a shiver.
Right.
Because you're working with the expert. The expert, yeah. And eventually I'm like, okay, this is good. Yeah. And one of those days comes in and says, you, chef, come here. You, come here. And everyone's looking in the kitchen. Hey, guys, what did you guys do? Go to my office. Confused. Confused, the real enemy, which is me. And the first guy goes in his office. I'm the second. And he says, your name Temwa? I'm like, yes. Okay, you tell me about yourself. Yeah. What do you want
out of this?
Out of this. Yeah. I see here long shifts. What do you want out of this? It's like, I want to be the best. I want to learn a lot.
I want to be you. Literally.
Exactly. And he goes, okay. Have you been to Qatar before? I'm like, I don't even know what Qatar means. What is that? In that aspect. And he's like, there's opportunity. Our sister hotel there. Yeah. Grand Hyatt Hotel in Qatar. Yeah. We'll take you on for 6 months.
What? Just like that?
Yeah. We'll sort out your tickets, everything. And this time you're going to get paid.
Whoa.
Confused. Go home, think about it, speak to family. Yeah. Okay, and I'm about to go. He goes, get someone to give you a coffee. You deserve a coffee today. Wow. I got back in the kitchen with this coffee. Everyone's looking at me like, did you get, what happened to you? You're looking fresh.
Like, what's going on right here?
And I couldn't tell anybody. I was just like, he shouted at me, but we're going places. And my father and my brothers were like, take the opportunity. Yeah, absolutely. And from there, I never looked back, Francis. It was like literally upscale. Yes, within, like any other country, they've got their own difficulties, etc. Grand Hyatt Hotel Doha is a bigger property. It's got its own villas.
I can only imagine, eh?
You get exposed where again, privileged by work ethic, right? By putting in the time, and found out myself pushing hours again. Yeah. Because now this time it's fingerprint clock work. Yes. HR calls me, at least log out and stay in. Right. Again, they had another issue, called me in and because I was like, I want to learn. Yeah, like what's going on with you, man? I'm here for 6 months. Yeah. I want to learn. Please leave me alone.
Let me do me.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, when I got into at the hotel, I never started in the kitchen as thinking again. Started off with a place called commissary. Commissary is the start of large entities. Right. They have it either in the basement or in an area where it's pre-prepped. So we receive stock. Okay. Not a lot of places actually after that I've seen have it. Okay. I've never seen it being done in Zambia. It's literally, let's just say you get a full-on carcass. Okay. And it goes into the butchery area. You break down that. Whoa. So like chicken, there's a restaurant, because Grand Hyatt Hotel had 12 restaurants within the hotel, and it's now 12, and obviously with different areas. So that commissary area, it's got its veggie area, different room, butchery area, different room,
Right.
fish area, it said fish market, you know, like every pastry where they knead the dough
yes.
and everything in preparation. So when you go up into the restaurant, so I only found out, why am I in the basement? I'm from Africa.
Yeah, why
come
is that the reason?
In the Middle East.
Yeah.
Why am I?
Yeah.
Why am I in the basement? It's all dark there. I'm peeling potatoes, cutting carrots, chopping onions. Again, it's a learning,
It's all about the preparation.
and it gives you more respect for the ingredient. When I came out of them, I realized the amount of deboning chicken that I did, slice my fingers, the whole shebang, learning how to use a grinder, learning how to debone fish, the whole everything.
Wow.
Into the vegetable section of knowing what different vegetables there are. Something which looks like ginger, I'm thinking, oh, this is ginger.
Yeah.
And some Thai person comes in and goes, no, that's galanga. I'm like, what's galanga? This is
Like, I've
ginger.
never even heard of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But all this, you learn the products.
Right.
It teaches you, and then you can also do more further research and say, where is this? Is this a root? Is this a seed? And then you go into the bakery area, and they're telling you need to prove this for this amount of time. Tomorrow we've got this kind of event, so they start making the casings.
Right.
They need to rest in this area. It needs to be cooled. This area is too hot. There's ovens in here. The hotel is huge. Get into the restaurant area now, and I mentor still today, Chef Greg.
Okay.
Still speak very highly about him. Polish, and he just took me under his wing. He had a liking for me, and yeah, he just pumped me. He just pumped work through me, gave me people to work with who are in higher positions.
Right.
They actually gave me their knowledge through him as well. And when working with him, he would always say, why didn't you learn this from this person?
Right.
So today you are in the French kitchen for this next 2 months. Because you've got limited time, you're going to have to go in this area.
Right.
I managed to go and do all restaurants. I was privileged, actually.
Whoa.
So with that being said, my biggest highlight of it all was the Asian kitchen.
Right.
I loved it, just grew onto me. By the way, for I to say, I had a very soft palate leaving South Africa at that time. My spice notes were very low.
Why is that?
Because I hadn't reached out. We know the bolognese.
Yeah.
We know other dishes like a curry. But there's a depth to it.
Right.
When you go in the shop, Pick and Pay, ShopRite, name it. That supermarket will have a mixed spice called curry powder, mixed masala, gram masala.
Yeah.
But where does gram masala? It's not like one seed.
Nah.
It's a combination
It's a combination.
spices.
Absolutely.
Now, that again wasn't. I hadn't learned that. So working with different spices and me going to this different country where they have a lot of heat in their food.
Yes.
Ooh, it opened my palate.
Right.
It opened. It's like a sixth sense, and I actually appreciate that from then on, because till today, even just without tasting, I'll be able to say, you added ginger. Oh, you added A, B, C, D. And people will be like, were you looking at me?
Like, how did you know? Yeah.
Because
even when it just has like the slightest hint of it, you'd still know it.
100%.
Yeah.
And with having chili, I never used to eat chili.
Right.
I'm the biggest fan of chili today. I had a point where I went to a different restaurant. I think if it's still opened, Actually, I've been to actually a few. Another story for another day.
Yeah.
But, it's a restaurant where with the food that you eat, they give you. You can pair it with different types of chili.
Okay.
Throughout the world, they bring in chili, and
that's next level.
Yeah, exactly. For you to try it with your dish.
Yeah.
So with that, I was like, that's hot. Oh, that's mild. Then it grows on you.
Yeah.
And having a lot of Asian friends from India who would say, come, let's go. On days off, again, different experience.
Yeah, you just start having, a variety of experiences. You start knowing the jalapenos now.
Jalapenos too.
Yeah.
Name it.
Yeah.
So with that, it grew onto me, and yeah, working at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, walking into an elevator with my mentor, Chef Greg and them.
Right.
And he says to me today, the classic, comes to pick me up in the kitchen. He goes, you like rap? R&B, they call it?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
What kind of question is that?
Yeah, what's that got to do with everything?
And we're walking, fast walking.
Right.
And we get into the elevator, go upstairs, get into the Thai kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's like a lace. They're surrounded with lace. There's 2 bodyguards.
Right.
And he says, listen, in telling me in the elevator and walking towards there, whatever you see and whatever you do, don't stammer, don't hesitate, be professional. Remember, we're here to provide a service.
Right.
I'm like, yes, chef. And we walk in, and they open the curtain a bit, and Janet Jackson goes, oh, hi, chef.
What?
And I'm like,
remember
what he told you.
Yeah.
Be professional.
How am I going to maintain my sanity
almost forgetting how to say hello. Bonjour.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there she was.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. All right. The next highlight for me, and I'm like, chef, at least you could have told me, because I just want to see your reaction and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, Temwa, you have seen we've got VIP guests coming, blah, blah, blah. Man United is staying with us. So this whole rooftop, whatnot, my days went by busyness.
Whoa.
And one day again, chef, come, walk with me. Walking, he's like, we're going to meet the chef for Man United. Chef Timothy.
Wow.
I want you to take all the notes on all the special dietaries.
Right.
Man United chef?
Yeah.
Okay.
That just messes you up.
You're writing even in shorthand to catch up.
I can imagine,
yeah. Finishing that meeting, get into the elevator, and Sir Ferguson is there, and he goes, hi, young man, how are you doing? I'm like, how are you doing?
Like, I made it.
And I'm like, I'm loving Qatar. Yeah. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
Dishing for the Man United team. At that time, it was the player, that was 2000 and that must have been 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, 2012, 2013. Higgs and all that came through and loved it.
Yeah.
So the experience was there. Coming back to this whole culinary industry.
Yeah.
Came back to South Africa, had different opportunities, worked in various hotels. One of them being, again, another nice sister hotel, but higher, boutique hotel, Saxon,
okay.
With David Higgs and his team. Left there and worked with other various chefs. Had the experience of working in studying on fine arts of culinary and gastronomy,
right?
Molecular gastronomy, and then finished it off with had the opportunity actually, going to the Maldives. Again, when people tell you, Maldives, and you're like, yeah, it's nice, but when you start working there, It's different.
Yeah, I can only imagine, because I mean that's a top-notch tourist attraction.
100%.
You go there, and just by virtue of the fact that you're working in such an establishment, already you're a professional.
Yeah.
Like they cannot just pick anybody to work in such a location if they haven't really like mastered the art of what they're doing.
Exactly.
So I think even that in itself was a highlight.
It was extreme highlight. Again, working with, you know, remember I said different spices, Asian.
Yes.
You see, the Asians have got a lot of knowledge on spice work. It's even to today, I'm still here to learn more.
Help me debunk this myth about spices, because I've heard a lot of people say the more spices you use, the more you're messing up the dish. Is that true?
Sometimes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. You know, in my cooking pattern today, I will. Yes, it's still a combination of spices, but sometimes it's also the least.
Right.
And you base it on flavor. You know, and I'm a big, huge fan of working with every person who's worked with me.
Right.
Herbs, fresh herbs.
Yes.
I'm a very big fan of that. My partner right now, I don't want to say this too loud, but she likes herbs, but to a lighter side.
Right.
The days when I've cooked and she's like, the coriander is overpowering the whole dish, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a flavor.
It's a flavor, yeah.
But at the end of the day, for me, I don't also discard that. For me, it actually tells me maybe I actually did use too much coriander.
It's a learning. I mean, you don't discard
exactly.
anything. Yeah.
But each one's to their own palate.
Exactly.
So it's spices, herbs, seeds. They change a dish.
Right.
We can cook a potato now, and we can cook it all different ways. You would go and buy the chip spice. I would make my chip spice.
Okay.
I would actually even dry my herbs, fresh herbs to dry herbs, and blend it with maybe a seasoning salt.
Okay.
Right, and then take it through to cinnamon to give it that offcut.
Right.
For you to understand, I'm having steak. I've got these French fries which has got rosemary impact. It's got a hint of something which I can't put my finger on.
Right.
But I'm loving it because, again, what type of steak? We're talking about maybe a ribeye. Everything is balanced. You have chimichurri as a sauce on the side. Argentinian dish again. Beautifully, if it's beautifully done. Now with a twist to it, you can make it smoky. You can add sweet peppers to it.
Yeah.
Again, it needs to complement the dish, the protein, the starch.
Yes.
So now you're thinking, okay, I've had this chip. Can't stop eating it. I'm dunking it into this chimichurri sauce, but I want some steak in it. But you know what? I'm loving everything. The dish is made.
Absolutely.
It's a story. Every dish needs to be a story.
I love how all this is playing out like art. Like this is like you're creating something, but you know it's not just food. It has to tell a story as well.
Yeah.
So I can literally see how all this is just art. But Chef Temwa, I'd like to drive this conversation to, you know, you've spoken to how you started out and how, you know, it had to take a little bit of convincing of dad to just get in this space and get an appreciation of what you can actually do. I see a lot of people actually struggle with that. And I know the struggle comes from the aspect of, you know, it's basically the background, especially growing up in Zambia. You're going to have your parents tell you, look, people who are venturing in this space are, I'll term this loosely, school dropouts. Like they do not know what to do with their lives. They couldn't pursue a higher level of education, and so they decide to go into this space. I see this slowly changing now, and we have a lot of people like yourself who have literally been to school to study this and get it to the perfection that it deserves. But why do you think that a lot of people are still looking down on the profession?
Francis, I feel like giving a big hug for asking me that. I get that a lot. I've spoken to other people in the industry about it, and it's sad. And it's actually, I would say, in Africa still. It's not so much in Europe. Europe, you work as a chef. We sit on a table, even with the CEO of some other company.
Yes.
The conversation turns around to you on the table being a chef. I've had that many a times.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, okay, I never knew I was gonna. I thought we were gonna be talking politics.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about food. And I like doing this. You know, in my spare time, I like cooking.
Yeah.
My wife does.
Yeah.
Okay, and guess what? The biggest conversations when you have people at home, and the most beautiful, memorable conversations are always held either on a dining table.
Absolutely agree.
Or in the kitchen.
Absolutely agree. 100%.
Right? So let's turn it round back. Why is it looked at a person who's a dropout or who hasn't got any experience to the world or anything like that, and he says, look, and I get that a lot here in Zambia. Hi, I'm looking for a job. Okay, what experience? No, I'm a grade 10 dropout, and I'm looking for a job. What do you want to do? I want to be a chef. Let's read it back in.
Hold on.
Because then what if you're going to be a chef, what am I?
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
What am I then? So let's read it back in. You drop out, not a problem. But also don't use a space as a covering ground to say, the hospitality rather said, I can just enter, and the worst that I get is because I just want to survive.
Now, man, that doesn't even make sense.
Don't come to me for that. We all need to survive. But I also want you to work with passion.
Yes, yes, yes.
If you're going to tell me I'm a dropout or have experience, whatever it is, at least come and tell me by saying, I like cooking at home.
Yes.
I like baking. I like putting things together.
Don't use this as a means.
I'm a fine, I'm not a mixologist.
Yes. Yeah.
But I like to make drinks and cocktails at home.
Yeah.
I would like to put this in a profession.
Exactly.
We can then sit down and have a better conversation, as opposed to just trying to lean by work. You know, it's another level. So, a very good friend of mine, also in the culinary space in Zambia, from South Africa, Chef Vusi, also known as the tattooed chef. He's about to open a restaurant called Skyfall.
Nice.
I just need to put it out there. It's Mosetunya Mall. Right. And another chef, another culinary expat, Chef Kat, and I are putting the menu together as part of our consultancy towards the restaurant. And we've interviewed people. The people you can see who they've got some good background. Right. See, there's a difference. I was actually reading about it the other day. I would rather employ a non-qualified chef, right? Okay. To a stubborn chef. So that person who doesn't have qualifications, I rather put the impact into him, as opposed to having.
As long as they've got the passion for it, they are driven.
Yes, driven, willing to learn.
Yes.
And heart.
Exactly.
Just having the heart for it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I know it all. Yeah, what do you want to tell me? Yes, chef. Okay, fine, chef. Yeah, and when I've turned my back, oh, chef doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I hear you.
You go home. I'd rather work with that person. Yeah. I'll groom him. We've lost within Zambia, I'll speak about Zambia. It's sad, and I think we need another conversation, Francis, on this one, because it's actually a heart aching thing for me, because I want people to thrive in this industry.
Absolutely.
People come into hospitality thinking it's like I can't be a banker, or they have actually background knowledge of working. You know, they've got a work experience. Maybe he's got a PhD in whatsoever, or he's got a degree, but he can't get a job. So now, and we've interviewed people like that. Again, it goes back to, what are you good at?
Yes.
Are you going to be a waiter? You fluently, you speak fluently. That's a tick on the box.
That's a starting point. Yeah.
You dress well, your appearance. Tick again. All right. Can you hold a tray? Yes, from home, maybe with 2 hands. Maybe now try it 1 hand.
Yeah.
We'll train you to do that. We'll train you how to take off cutlery and crockery and to reset a table. Those are the basics. You're providing a service, remember. This is an industry where you're providing a service.
Absolutely.
So we need to talk to people who want to provide that. It's not an industry where you walk in and you're going to get thousands and hundreds of or millions of kwacha. No. With time, yes,
it does come. But it's about the service that you're offering. And once you offer that service and it is at the highest level, it becomes a ripple effect. Because recommendations will now start coming through.
Thank you.
About how good your service is, just how excellent you treat your guests.
100%.
I hear you.
So we need to train and teach the Zambian people. Yeah, in Zambia nowadays, they're able to say, oh, you're a chef? Okay, yes. Again, the conversation would turn around.
Yeah.
But it's not like in Europe or other parts of the world. And people still think, this guy works in the kitchen.
Yeah, Chef Temwa, you know, there are quite a number of people who look at chefs as being top earners, and this stems from what they see on TV again. And it's actually true, because, I mean, when you're listening to, because, I mean, I've watched quite a number of documentaries about established people, about people who are, you know, top sport artists, sport musicians, and these guys literally have, you know, personal chefs that they hire to do their job. And when you look at the figures that these guys are earning, it's just like, whoa. I'm wondering whether that is actually the motivation for some people to get into that space. And when they get into that space and realize that they're not actually earning what they see, it then becomes just like, you know what, I can't do this. Can you just speak into that?
Where do I even start with it? There's like everything, there's a start.
Yeah. And
sometimes there's no end.
Yeah.
If you look at a chef called Francis, he's based in France.
Okay.
His take on type of cooking is totally different.
Right.
But he's hit it. He says, I've ticked the boxes. I even had a Michelin star restaurant.
Right.
Several. He's traveled the world. But when you look at what he's doing now, he's gone back to almost like wanting to do like basics.
Right.
He's teaching people. I'm actually about to apply and go and take on a course with him in Switzerland.
Nice.
And it's something different. He is more based with saying open fire cooking. Something totally different.
Yeah.
And you should check him out.
I definitely will.
And he's saying, I've done it. I still travel. I've still got restaurants which work for me, but I'm wanting to give back to people.
Right.
So you can put up your benchmark. You can get to a benchmark where you say, oh, I'm earning $2 million.
Right.
There are many. Or should I say that?
Do you think that's the limitation that we have, particularly in Zambia? The fact that when people look at getting to the pinnacle of the profession as a chef, they then start looking at the different facilities that are available and how there are so few of those facilities who can literally take on somebody at the highest level. There are very few high-profile personalities, if I may say, who would then hire like a personalized chef. Is it the maturity of the industry that kind of like pushes people back to saying, look, I know I've got the passion for this, I know I want to do this, but I don't think we're quite ready to hit that level, so they kind of like shy away?
It's a dream. How much are you wanting to push yourself, Francis, in life?
Yeah.
You are in the sector of human resource.
Yeah.
After this, what is it next for you?
Right.
Right? It doesn't mean that Zambia is it closes up on Zambia.
Right. I love that.
Right? We need to also then showcase what Zambia is all about to the world. So let's push it up to the benchmark. Do you know that there are people, I went to Mumbwa town not long ago, late last year.
Yeah.
And a private plane, private jet, flew in through Leaf.
Okay.
From the UK. We've got billionaires living in Zambia.
Right.
We've got people who are coming into Zambia doing a showcasing, flying them back out. We've got people in Lower Zambezi. Do you know that there are secretly people who enter Zambia and you only learn about it when they've left?
Absolutely.
Right? But they've come in with top-end chefs and so forth, and they're creating things because it's a beautiful country that we have. Parts of Lower Zambezi, Livingston, and so forth. So many other places. And they're showcasing these things and they leave. So what are they doing to us? They come to our land, our land or Zambia, our beautiful nation. They showcase and they leave. We can do equally the same. We can take our benchmark, whether it's Zambian cuisine, whether it's pure Western or Asian infused cuisines, and take it to another level of saying, you know what, wouldn't you like it to know? Because you say Chef Temwa has reached this.
Right.
Personally, I haven't reached to that benchmark. I'm still thriving to grow, and I'm still thriving to grow with other people to this high benchmark of saying, I was telling one of the chefs, work well, learn these wines properly. You never know, we could speak to a vineyard in South Africa. Chef, I don't have a passport. Oh, round one.
Oh wow, already that's your limitation.
But he's got it in him.
Yeah.
And now he has South Africa, new passport. Oh, guess what? One, he needs to get an NRC, which he's got now. He's now working on his passport because why? He is phenomenal. He knows his wines and he's good at what he does. And I'm saying, this guy's gonna grow. For me, he's growing in my eyes, and he's making me a better person, because when I pick up the call and say to this vineyard, hi, how are you? I've got this chef, I'd like him to come through, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, Chef Temwa, oh, we came, oh, perfect. We'll host him for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. He's never left Zambia. But he's going to other places, and when he comes back, he'll be like, I got on a plane.
Yes.
I got to see a sea.
Right.
I never saw a river.
Yeah.
I never saw a dam.
Yeah.
I saw the sea. And I tasted the most beautiful wines in this world. I worked with expert chefs. Yeah. Chefs who are driven. I was entitled to hearing, yes, chef, no, chef.
Yes. Yes.
And I came back, and I want to continue learning. I want to continue growing.
I love that.
My job, personally, is not for me just to grow, but to take people to grow with.
To the next level.
Absolutely.
I hear you. I really love the fact that you've now diverted this conversation into vineyards and wines. And my question now is, you know, there are a lot of people out there who have boxed being a chef around, you know, just culinary alone and food. Can you just give us the whole breakdown, the whole 360 of what being a chef really entails?
So being a chef, as I mentioned in the beginning, it comes with responsibility and respect. If you can master those two first, it's when I say, don't get me wrong, maybe it's for the lack of words, but it can be toxic. Gordon Ramsay even said it because it was actually getting out of hand.
Right.
Chefs overdose.
Yes.
Coffee. When we get there, it's an adrenaline.
Yes.
Right? That's why you hear me talking about 12, 14 hours a day of working.
Yes.
For me, I lived off coffee. I would have maybe one meal a day.
Yep.
Right? With that, it goes on to saying, being a chef, when you've encompassed of saying, because it can lead to drugs as well.
Yeah.
Drugs is alcohol and so forth. We know about it, right? So when you've got respect and having responsibilities, knowing your responsibilities, even your creative side. Now this is where it gets technical. Being a chef, you have to be creative.
Right.
You have to have, you're like an artist.
Yes.
You know, there are days where I am sleeping, get my little notebook because I'm thinking carrots, but now I don't want to just poach them, but I want to use this technique of sous vide. Okay, if I sous vide to this extent and I pan-sear them, okay, fine. When I wake up, I might forget all of that. So what do? Quickly jot.
Right.
On my phone. I try not to use the phone so much because I want the mind to be creative.
Yes.
It's my rest time.
Yes.
So we come out of creativity, being an artist as well. Then it leads to the combination of things. The first one would be wine.
Okay.
Wine is, it's a stream of a beverage which is respectful. It's an elegant beverage. It's like whiskey. It's not so much like the brandy. You don't hear so many people saying, I'll have a brandy.
Yeah.
Francis, you're sitting with your lawyer and the MD of somewhere else and you're talking, and like, can I have a scotch?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm in the right space here.
Yes.
We're going to have a big conversation, big people's talk here. You know, to have a glass of wine because maybe it's that type of event.
Yes.
So we talk about wines, then we talk about champagnes. I'm not going to get into the types and everything, but on wine sector, it's very important as a chef to understand your wines, what regions it comes from, what climate it comes from, because we're sitting in a room here full of wine, and this room is actually at a good temperature. It's not because they want it to be cool and calm for the feel. No. We're living by this. It's for the wines.
Right.
There's a fridge, a wine fridge, but it doesn't mean that it's because it's for a different temperature again, right? Because all of that can implement on the wine. The wine can go off.
Love that.
So once you're a chef and you can understand that, it's like almost going through to being a sommelier.
Right.
But we aren't sommeliers, but we are like on the underlined. Yes, some chefs become sommeliers to have that very good knowledge of wine, because when they speak about wine, which CU29, my company, does, we speak about a lot of wine. we learn the bottle, we taste, we look for the tannin notes, and once we're able to put that, we can say, okay, imagine you call me and you're having a dinner or a lunch at your home, table of guests, and you've paired it up with some good wines.
Right.
You wouldn't want me throwing all types of different wines. You'd want me to be pairing it correctly with the starter, it being a green leaf,
right,
or it being a seafood dish, a game dish, or is it going to be a protein, or a different type of protein would be pork or fish. But again, it doesn't just base on that, it also talks about the spices.
Right, right.
So spicy meals, common straightforward knowledge would go with not more like a merlot, but they'll actually start off with a pinotage.
Okay.
Pinotage, spicy food, excellent.
So are you the one who's literally dictating what your guests should have? Or are you pretty much just advising them, say, look, for this kind of meal that you've ordered, this is the kind of drink you need to have?
Absolutely. We're suggesting it.
Okay.
We've because of the knowledge, and we're saying, you're having a fish dish.
I actually don't see much of that, eh? Like, there are very few places in Zambia I've been to, they're literally going to ask you what you want to have.
Yeah.
They're never going to tell you, look, for this kind of meal that you've ordered, these are the kind of drinks that complement the meal. And I really love the fact that you've brought that aspect up, because it really shows that there's a gap that we have.
Thank you.
But we need people like you to just, like, you know, help straighten this out. You know, Chef Temwa, there are, you know, quite a number of elements that you've pointed out within this space that I think a lot of people, including myself, had absolutely no idea you guys are pretty much engineering this. Because from a lay person, they'll look at a chef and they'll be like, okay, they lead the kitchen and their job is primarily just like cooking the food, and that's it.
And unfortunately, there's more to that. Or
it's not unfortunate.
Actually, fortunately.
It's very fortunate, because now you're taking us to school. You're literally telling me, look, even the wines that are available have different functionalities.
100%.
Okay? And now I pretty much want to understand the back end now, because you're beginning to, you know, bring very exciting conversations around this. And I'm going to tilt it more towards menu design, if you may. Because what I've also come to realize is there are a lot of, you know, restaurants around, and what you see are pretty much the same menus. Like, it's the same thing everywhere you go. So what kind of influence does a chef have in menu design?
I'm gonna start off with a little joke, because my cousin, he's back in Livingston. He always teases me and laughs and says, so what have you put on the menu today? Have you put T-bone and chips, chicken and chips? And I'm like, no. Because that's what we get.
That's what we're accustomed to.
Exactly. But because of people's diversity and where they've traveled, palates changing, you know, that all goes back to diversity, right? Now they're also prone to say, we're gonna have a steak. We're still on that steak of, I want it to be killed again, to be well done. And me as a chef, I'm like, I would rather than give it to my junior chef and say, handle it. That's why we're not able to get into the French type of cooking called sous vide. It's a different type of cooking. It's cooking food at a consistent temperature in a water bath.
Wow. Right. So, Chef Temwa, there's another component of this discussion that I feel is very important to bring to the table, and this is, you know, the aspect of the chef only confining themselves to the kitchen, leading the kitchen. And I think there's one important aspect that is, it's not emphasized as much as I think it should, and that's menu design, because I do realize that there is a very big part that chefs play in designing a menu. Can you just tell us the extent of involvement that you've had in this space?
I'm going to answer you, but I'm going to say an easy inside joke which always runs through my head when I'm doing menu design. A cousin of mine based in Livingston, always says, "Oh, so what are you putting on the menu? Are you putting chicken and chips? Sausage and chips?"
Yeah, because that's all they see.
In our beautiful Zambia. However, to answer you, you look at region, you look at season, and you also look at the market.
You look at season as well?
Yes.
Okay.
The season will determine you to say, I can't use asparagus because it's not there.
Right.
I can't use bondwe or chihuahua or, you know, things, certain things. There's also a low peak for fish.
Okay.
I'm talking about fish, tilapia.
Yes.
It's got its season. Every item, food product has got a season. And it's like, maybe it's game meat. They'll say, the hunters will say, at this time we can't go out and hunt deer or springbok or whatever it is, because we need them to multiply and then we can start. Exactly. You know? So we look at season. We look at obviously where what the market is looking for, area, which that is. So when you've got all of those kind of encompassed, then we start looking at the core aspects of saying, okay, let's look at the likes of this area definitely needs some sort of beef.
Yes.
Whether it's char grilled, whether it's pan seared, whatever it is, but we need beef. We need. So you break down the menu. Or are we opening an Italian restaurant?
Right.
But with a Italian restaurant, we still look at, okay, instead of using prawn, let's use crayfish.
Right.
Because we are a landlocked country.
Yes.
We've got a lot of crayfish. So we can make a crayfish pasta as opposed to having a prawn pasta.
So why do we see the same things in all the restaurants we go? Is it the lack of exposure? Is it the lack of
knowledge?
Knowledge, yeah.
Simple, plain forward knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes, you could have gone to Italy and you want to replicate it. It goes back to again to creativity.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you went to Italy, you learned this, and it must come back and it should be the exact same. No. You can make a twist. That's why being a chef, you need to, that's why now you get to a certain level where you're able to create a menu.
Right.
You're able to put something together. And with that, each component on the plate must marry the next item. So imagine putting, in the beginning, I would have said couscous can't be cooked with lamb. However, you go to Morocco, you go to, Morocco, for instance. Yeah. They've got a lamb tagine, which comes with couscous, and it's got dates in it. And you're like, wow, okay.
That combination is, yeah.
But it's beautiful.
It goes against the norms. But it's beautiful, like you say, yeah.
But you can't put all that with a English muffin. Doesn't make sense. Where does this bun come from on the plate?
I hear you.
So every dish, as I tell every chef, needs to tell a story. And that story should also complement the restaurant or the outlet.
Chef Temwa, that's perfect. I really love how you've broken that down. Do you feel that the number of chefs that we have in Zambia are not given the autonomy to express themselves the way that they should? Because the way that you've broken this down, my mind was racing because I was literally thinking about the places I've been to, the restaurants I've visited, and these are actually high-end restaurants. And yet I don't see any of these things you're talking about. Oh, well, I rarely see them. Because, again, when I go to these establishments, it's the same old menu. It's the chicken and chips. It's if they're gonna be exotic, it's probably 1 or 2 dishes on the menu, and the rest of them are pretty much standard. So do you feel that we are shying away from, really expressing ourselves? Is it our industry that is not yet mature? What's the big reason behind it?
It's the industry, it's the chefs trying to shine, because every other restaurant that they've worked at is almost a replicate of the other. So the exposure to that is very limited.
Right.
It goes again back to the people, the owners,
right,
as well. A lot of people open restaurants, hotels, lodges with no background knowledge. So they're kind of also to be blamed for. I'm into consultancy in this hospitality sector, and there's a lot of work for me,
right,
I must say. But for me, when I say a lot of work, I'm proud to actually go out there and do that work.
Yes.
To make the change. Even when you ask for us to cater to you, I'm also again proud to provide a service, an unforgettable service and experience.
Amazing.
That you're gonna have. I tell each and every guest of mine, I'm not gonna try and give you the same menu of what we did for Francis and family. We tailor-make the menu to your event.
I love that.
So we try and use and do different things. Yes, it could be prawn. The other Francis also had prawn, but we're not going to cook the same way we cooked Francis' prawns.
Yeah.
We'll change it. Maybe that was char grilled. Now we're going to put it with a basing of coconut, lemon coconut sauce. Changing, just that twist gives you the experience. One day, oh, CU29 or Chef Temwa, yeah, he does a magnificent steak.
Absolutely.
Now you're going to say, what steak did you have? I had the sirloin and so forth. And you'll be like, but I had the ribeye.
Yes.
Or I had the sirloin, but it wasn't, you had the mushroom sauce, I had the pepper sauce.
Yeah.
Pepper crusted. It should always be a change. And obviously according to your tailored event. So that's where the lack is with this industry right now. The chefs want to showcase themselves. Right. But again, they're showcasing themselves based on what they've seen.
Right.
So 3 different restaurants that they've worked at, every restaurant of those has worked with steak, or it's worked with chicken.
Yes.
You find that chicken stir fry, beef stir fry. This other restaurant was chicken stir fry, but maybe 2 different elements different.
Yes.
Now they are thinking genius. You know what? Now I can add more ginger and more soy sauce.
Yeah.
And more sesame seeds. And he's gonna like it. Meanwhile, you're like, but this is just the same
It's the same
again.
thing, yeah.
So now give it a twist. Maybe use an orange zest to it. May give it a citric flavor. So you need to change it, and we're not. That's where it's kind of closed.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hoping that every other chef who comes into the country or who's actually gone out there can teach others.
Absolutely.
Because once that light bulb goes on, again, it's now research.
Absolutely. I hear you. Chef Temwa, as we're winding up the discussion, I'd like to shine a little bit of light on CU, because I've heard you talk about it quite a bit, and you're doing amazing stuff because you're pretty much in consultancy now, and you're giving back what you've learned over the years, and people are just beginning to get an appreciation of what it really takes to shine in this space. What you doing with CU, and where is it going?
C29 culinary, the meaning of it is the 29th element on the periodic table.
Copper?
Copper.
Yeah.
Zambian based, and with that we are saying we come from a copper nation.
Right.
And this name actually it stemmed from when I opened it in South Africa.
Okay.
Originated, and I was looking for a name. I was being impatient, and my father goes, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Dad, I need a name, like yesterday." And he's just like, "What's this culinary thing? You're only just stuck on this culinary."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I want to use that." Or it started off with cooking. Then I was like, "No, let me take it up a little bit elegant."
Right.
Speaking about now more of the basis of it. So culinary. And he goes, "But Temwa, you come from Zambia. So do something which is going to..."
Zambian.
So
Make it distinct.
I see it with a lot of copper pots, copper equipment. Why don't you name it copper? So now I went to my sister-in-law, and she's into food science, and she goes, "You don't have to necessarily use it as copper, the word.
Yes.
You can use the 29th element on the periodic table."
Brilliant.
I was like, gone, sorted, done.
Brilliant.
With CU29, we provide a service of outside catering and in-house catering. When I say in-house, as in more into your own space, I'm still yet to open something small like a cooking class, which allows you to dine to whatever you've prepared. Casual cooking. I'm not trying to make it too much of professional. However, we'll get there with the school that I trying to engage with. Over and above, CU29 is actually a catering company.
Nice.
And I've extended it with going into consultancy, seeing that there's a gap.
Amazing.
And we need to close that gap, and it's within the hospitality sector. So that is opening of businesses, looking at what their target market is, the marketing, the menu structure, developing, and the costing lines. So it's literally from open doors of a restaurant, lodge, not so much into hotels, don't get me wrong. You need to know where your boundaries end. But
you gotta get there.
Just encompassed on that. And I think that's where we close it off with CU29 culinary.
Amazing. That's brilliant work right there. And like I said, just the fact that you have gotten so much exposure, so much experience in this space, and you're saying, look, I'm here, I can help you. I do not want to have all this information just boxed within myself. I'm here for you. I really love that.
No, thank you.
That's a lot of, we're actually lacking that a lot with the professionals that we have, and I think that's why it's taken very, very small strides for this development within the space to get to where we want it to be. So really kudos for that.
Thank you very much.
We're actually gonna end this conversation this way.
Sadly.
Very sad. But I'd like to end this conversation this way, Chef Temwa. If you could leave one lasting impression on this industry, what would it be?
Giving on to others.
Wow. Wow. And it's something that you've actually been doing.
Yeah.
The fact that you want to scale it to the next level just kind of shows the heart that you have about the industry and where you want to see it.
I think giving on to others, I mean, it's not just a blessing, but it also opens other doors. The more you give,
right, the more you get back.
So it's also not so much what tit for tat.
Yes.
But it's also give. It's the knowledge that I've impacted. I want to give it on to other people.
Absolutely.
My ear is to your mouth. I want to hear you. I want to give you that exposure. I'd like to give you that growth. Let's take this to this culinary world. Or rather said, let's take the culinary industry of Zambia to another level. And that's what I strive to do.
Amazing. I really love that. Chef Temwa, it's been an amazing episode. I've really enjoyed this interaction. I had very, very little knowledge about this space, but just the way you've broken it down, everybody, I'm sure the listeners, the viewers have been able to appreciate what kind of space you're in and how it really is thriving, not only in Zambia, but beyond the borders as well. So this has been another exciting episode of the Talent Plug podcast. We featured Chef Temwa, head chef and CEO of CU29 Culinary. He is an expert, a professional in this sector, and I know a lot of viewers and listeners have tapped into his knowledge. So really appreciate your time and stay inspired.
Thank you.